Matthew 10:28 shows us where God is concerned, where God is at work. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Yes, our bodies are important, but what's even more? Our very souls, our spirits, and both suffer mightily in this world, and God is actively looking at both, even though suffering has not left us. It is through the perseverance, the workings of perseverance, that God is at work in our life. And even though the suffering is around us, God, in spite of it, is with us. And we see Him at work this very day and throughout every page of the Scriptures. The first workings of perseverance that we see is God's providential care, His daily bread that He provides us. He is with us every day providing what we need. And we've read this before, and I'm going to read it again. He is with us. Matthew 6:25 through 33, the various verses in chapter 7. Do not worry. We are His children. He is our Father. Do not worry. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. He goes on in chapter 7 saying, if you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask Him? God is active. God is not up in heaven sitting behind His big desk playing solitaire till we do something or until the end of time. He is pursuing. He is active. He is with us, providing the very sun that came up, the very air we breathe, the rain that falls on the righteous and unrighteous. God is with us, because if He wasn't, what kind of a world would this be? You see, not only did we fall, but creation fell with us. There is disease now. There is death. There is decay. And not only did creation fall, we learned from April that the angels fell as well. Some angels fell as well. And so God has not left us in this miserable world that seems sometimes alone. And without Him, what would this world be like? That's what we should be saying. Without God, without our first aid kits, what would the world be like? Matthew 5 shows us through the beauties, the promises of God, and how He is active in our life. Not only does He provide us our daily bread, everything we need to live, the sun, the air, the rain, our food, our clothing, our homes, our families, but He also comforts us in a promise. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Now, there's no logic to this. Why would I want to mourn in order for God to comfort me? But it is a promise nonetheless. We mourn, we will suffer. The psalmists talk about this. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, God has not removed us from this valley. We have to walk through it. He will prepare a table before our enemies. We are to eat with our enemies. He does not remove our enemies or our sufferings. It is part of this broken world that we created. But He has not abandoned us. He will provide. He will comfort, even though we suffer. It is not a sign of faith or lack of it. God is with us, period. John 14 tells us, from Jesus' very words, do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. And as we get older, we get deeper into Christ, and we learn to trust this world and ourselves less and less, and trust more into God and what He offers. And yet, this perseverance that God gives us goes way beyond just what He provides daily to us. It goes way beyond this, for we read in Isaiah that His Son would have to suffer. Remember, we broke this world by our choice. And now the very Son of God living in this world must suffer as well. And we read this in Isaiah 53. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hide their faces, He was despised, and we esteemed Him not. Surely He took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows, yet we considered Him stricken by God, smitten by Him, and afflicted. He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon Him, and by His wounds we are healed. And so God, the very Son of God, the answer of the true hope that we have, through the workings of the perseverance that God would provide us by staying with us, is begun to be worked through in Jesus Christ. And Luke tells us that Jesus told His disciples this, but they just didn't believe Him. Luke 24:46, Jesus told them, "This is what is written, that Christ will suffer and rise from the dead on the third day." Christ came and suffered for us, suffered this broken world to make it right again in His second coming, and to provide us hope every day. 1 Peter 1:3-7. Praise be to God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In His great mercy He has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. You see, even though that beautiful 12-year-old girl did pass away from that terminal cancer, no one in this room can prove to me that God gave her that cancer to increase the faith of those around her. But you know what God did? In spite of the suffering, in spite of the brokenness of this world, those parents increased faith. The workers around this child were amazed to see God at work in her life. You see, beyond the daily comfort and the daily bread that is provided, we are given an eternal hope that even if this world takes us, even if that suffering overcomes us and we lose heart and we are broken, in the end God has us, and we will have no more pain, and there will be no more suffering.